was offered. Did Bruiser Brody work Continental? No.
I don't think so.
I don't think he did. I know he came into Georgia Championship Wrestling a few times, and
yes,
he got fired. And I'll tell you, we're running out of time, but I'll tell you a little story, and I'll let Rodney finish it. Bruiser Brody came on television. Buck Robley was booking, and I'll let Rodney tell you the rest of the story why he got fired.
Well, in the studios there at TBS, there were always two wheelchairs. We don't know why they were two wheelchairs. In fact, we sit in them during the show. Well, Bruiser Brody decided to take one of these wheelchairs, stick his opponent in a wheelchair on TBS, and kick him out of the chair. Well, back then, TBS was very controlling of the show and on the content of the show, and apparently had a hemorrhage over that. Well, Jim Barnett calls in Buck Robley and fires Buck Robley and Bruiser Brody because TBS must have threatened to pull the show altogether because they did not agree with that at all. And and then right after that, the Freebirds leave, if you remember. Hayes, Gordy, and Roberts all leave in protest over firing Buck Robley. So it was big to do, but Barnett was determined to keep his position on TBS. For without it, he really had nothing, especially in Atlanta.
The Georgia Championship Wrestling is a very unique company in itself because it had different promoters. And I think we need to talk about that one day, about the different promoters there. It wasn't just Jim Barnett, and there was other promoters and other owners. And it's very interesting the way they ran wrestling compared to what they run wrestling today. Fred Altman said, whatever happened to the gimmick matches, falls anywhere in the building, Russian chain matches, bunkhouse brawls, etc.? Well, I can answer that question. There's no rules in professional wrestling, so there's no reason to ever have a bunkhouse match or something.
Nope.
I mean, true. You have to have rules first.
I agree with you on that. No rules. It's just, I got a better idea. Why don't they take the steps from the ring? That might help the match, make them different. Every match, bang, into the desk. Into the steps.
Well, we'll tell you this. If I was going to do a contract signing, I would tell those people, so listen, I'll sign that contract, but I ain't getting in the ring.
No. Just bring it back to me.
And I'm afraid you're going to beat me up, and I'm just not getting in there. I'm sorry.
You're right.
You think people would smarten up to the fact after a while. Don't get in there.
That's kind of like going to the set with Lance on Memphis. You just don't do it.
What were the worst territories y'all worked for? I don't think any of the territories were bad. Central States was kind of bad, but, that
was not their fault. No, it wasn't Bob Geigel. That was the fight between Bob Geigel and Jim Crockett, really. That's
a story amongst itself. We'll have to share about that whole problem. That was a problem from the time we got there and the time we left. There was no working with each other. I think they need to bring pro wrestling this week style program. There's a lot of wrestling out there now. If you can get them to agree with it, would be the one thing. I'm surprised that Joe Pedicino was able to get all the wrestling promoters to send them the tapes. It was kind of a big deal. Whatever happened to Rick Stewart, Bubba Griffin? Rick Stewart, I think he passed away, back in the 90s, didn't he?
I believe so.
Rick Stewart was very good at what he did. He was really in there. Bring back the two-ring triple chance battle royals.
I just did one in Rome.
He just did one in Rome. Let's see. Where was Gulf Coast Championship Wrestling? That had been Pensacola, Florida, Dothan, Alabama. I'm not for sure. Montgomery.
Into Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Biloxi, Meridian. Yeah. They pretty much ran it, like I said, almost the same as Continental, except they did some stuff more so in Hattiesburg and Biloxi back in the day.